mudanayaal iyo marwooyin ku soo dhawaada Mogadishu Times waxaad dhawaan fiirsan doontaan wareysi gaar ah oo aanu la yeelanay United States Attorney General Eric Holder. wareysiga waxaa qaaday aad dhawaan fiirsan doontaan Hindia Ali. haddaan wax yar idinkaga sheegno Attorney General Eric Holder dadka badankiis waa yaqaanin laakiin waa ninkii ugu horeeyay ee madow ah oo xilkan qabta. waa ninka labaad ee ugu awooda badan dowlada Mareykanka. Welcome to Mogadishu Times. My name is Ilyas Mao. I'm the chief editor of Mogadishu Times. You are about to watch an exclusive interview with the U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. And here's the interview.
This is Hindia Ali. Welcome to Mogadishu Times, Mr. Attorney General Eric Holder. First question we have for you today. Could you explain some of the law enforcement's techniques, such as undercover operations that lead to entrapment, that the FBI uses to conduct the investigations? The case of Mohammed Mahmoud, the Somali-American teen accused of trying to blow up the Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Oregon. What makes these law enforcement techniques legal?
Well, I can't talk about a case that's ongoing, but I can talk about what we try to do with regard to the use of these undercover techniques. These are techniques that we use in a whole variety of cases, from child pornography to organized crime to white-collar crime cases. We try to make sure that they are used only in appropriate ways, and they're never used unless there is a predicate, some basis to believe that the person who is involved wants to engage in the activity. We don't go to somebody and try to involve them in an activity unless we have some basis to believe that they provide, that they want to be engaged. Now, the law says that as long as we don't make the person do something that they otherwise would not have done, that what we do is legal. So these are things that I think are consistent with the law, protect the American people in the Muslim community, and we review them to make sure that we are doing them appropriately.
Is homegrown terrorism more of a threat than foreign terrorists coming from abroad?
That's a very interesting question. I think that we have to be equally concerned. I think we have seen the nature of the terrorist threat change really over the last 18 to 24 months. We have seen more individuals here in the United States who have become radicalized for a variety of reasons and then try to do individual actions that have potentially done great harm to people here in the United States. So I think that we have to be mindful of terrorism from both perspectives.
Is Al-Shabaab more of a threat to American national security than Al-Qaeda? And if, how so?
Well, I think that we have to be concerned about both. There are ties that exist between terrorist organizations that I'm really not at liberty necessarily to discuss. There are ties that exist that give us great concern. Al-Qaeda clearly has engaged in activities, anti-American activities, that we are all well aware of. I am equally concerned about activities that Al-Shabaab is, as we understand, planning to engage in, and ties that Al-Shabaab is trying to forge.
What are the laws and policies regarding U.S. citizens fighting in foreign wars or supporting foreign armies?
Well, there are a variety of laws that do not allow American citizens to lend what we call material support to terrorist organizations. There are the neutrality laws that prevent Americans from engaging in conflicts in which the United States is not involved. But then on an individual basis, I think we also have to be concerned about residents of this country, citizens of this country, who for whatever mistaken reason become involved in foreign battles that put themselves at jeopardy, cause great distress to their families, and for reasons that are not necessarily good ones. They get radicalized. They tend to believe the things that they have seen on the internet or what they hear from people. And so I think on both an individual basis and then with regard to the safety of our people, these are the kinds of things that we are trying to use our laws to prevent.
Could you please explain how the U.S. government determines whether or not the entity is a designated terrorist organization?
Well, our State Department has the primary responsibility for making that determination as to whether an organization is a foreign terrorist organization. It has to be an organization that is foreign, that is engaged in terrorist activities, and terrorist activity that is directed at the United States or directed at American interests. the organizations that are so designated do have the ability to go to a court if they want to fight that designation and have a judge actually decide whether or not the State Department's determination is an accurate one.
When President Barack Obama took office, he promised that Guantanamo Bay prison would be closed within a year. It's almost 4 years now. What went wrong?
Well, I think it's only going about almost 3 years now. It's just a little bit over 2 years. But, you know, the president and I have tried very mightily to close Guantanamo. We are still engaged in that process. We still want to close Guantanamo. We think it is in our national security interests. Congress has imposed a number of restrictions that have hampered our ability to do that. The president indicated in a message to Congress, I guess over the last couple of days, that further restrictions that Congress is trying to impose that might have an impact on our ability to close Guantanamo might raise a veto by the president. He is that concerned about some of these proposed congressional restrictions that he might veto them.
Since 9/11, Muslims in the U.S. have experienced an increased rate in harassment and discrimination. There was a recent settlement between the Department of Justice and Altona school districts. How can the United States Department of Justice play a role in protecting Muslim citizens' civil rights? And how can the DOJ ensure that this does not happen again?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to do is to be very vigilant, be aggressive, have a good relationship with members of the Muslim community so that things are brought to our attention. We have investigators who are out there and we try to monitor these situations, but we also need to hear from people who are being discriminated against, who are the objects of violence. So they bring that to our attention and so that we can investigate and then hold people accountable, organizations accountable, who would do harm to our fellow Muslim citizens. We have brought more civil rights cases in the year 2010 than at any other time in the history, in our Civil Rights Division, than any other time in the history of the Justice Department. And since 9/11, we have brought about 50 cases involving people or organizations who are trying to do harm to Muslim Americans.
We have an African American president and an African American United States Attorney General at the same time. Do you think race is not an issue in America anymore?
I think race continues to be an issue. We are in a far better place than we were 10, 15 years ago, and certainly far better place than when I was born 60 years ago. But we still have a ways to go. We still have racial issues that tend to divide us. We have an unwillingness, I think, to talk about racial issues in a frank and open way that I think we have to try to work on. So I think we've made a lot of progress, but I think we still have a ways to go.
And the final question we have for you today, the question everyone has been waiting to hear the answer to. Are you running for president in 2016?
No. I'm going to be out of government by the year 2016. I will be back, hopefully spending a lot more time with my lovely wife, with my family, and hopefully looking back on a good period of service as Attorney General in the Obama administration.
And not even in the future?
No future plans, but if I decide to go to New Hampshire, you will be the first to know.
Thank you for your time at Mogadishu Times today. We appreciate it.